Hi there. Now, we're living in very divided political times and very difficult times for particularly for trans people as we're being legislated out of existence. And I know I'm always banging on about trans rights and everything, but it affects real people. And I want to tell you about a really exciting film that's currently in production at the moment. It's been filmed and it's been roughly edited, but it's just being polished at the moment. And it's called Dance of Identity, and it follows a trans woman called Sophie. And it's not just about her story; it follows a political journey as well, and it shows the effects that politics has on her and her lovely family. And I'm very pleased to say that I've got the director of the film with me now, Alison Rooper. Hello, Alison.
Hi, Katie. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining me. So, do you want to tell me a little bit about the film?
Well, it's a approximately 90-minute documentary that is aimed at cinema release, and I've made it over the last more or less 8 years. So filming starting in 2017 up to now, and it tells the story about Sophie and her family and her love of dance, and I can't wait for people to see it.
It's incredible. I mean, I'm so lucky that you invited me down to see the screening of the rough cut of it, and that was just incredible. It blew me away. It really did. I mean, it's just so powerful, and so many. It resonated with me so much. It really and it was you were basically filming over the time of my transition as well, and of when I first came out. Politics were pretty bad then, but they've got so much worse. And I never realized that they would get so much worse and things would get so much harder for trans people. But you've kindly sent through some clips to me. So should we play some of them?
Absolutely.
I'm glad you said that because I'm going to anyway. So the first one was a clip that made me cry actually, and it was when Sophie got her gender recognition certificate, which allowed her to change her birth certificate and then allowed her to get married to her partner Sandy. So I'm just going to play that now.
So we were forced to apply for what's known as a GRC through the GRA panel.
It could go horrendously wrong. It might not be the decision that we want.
There's a lot of paper. Okay, the gender recognition plans reached a decision on application. I am very pleased to confirm the application has been granted and gender recognition is enclosed. If your original application, yes. That's it. It's done. We can actually get married as wives. Oh my god.
When somebody has the courage to live in a way that's not normal to everybody else, you don't want them to be told that they're not authentic, that they're not real, and by a bunch of complete strangers.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it gets me every time that one. So it's such a beautiful moment, and you can just see how much that meant to them both, can't you?
That was a huge moment for them as a couple. I think
Yeah.
had they not got the certificate, they would have been up in Gretna Green, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a revelation for me too. I think that's what really the film ends up showing is how the current law and various other aspects of social acceptance are affecting a normal couple. Um, Sophie
absolutely.
has Sophie has a very important job. She's a professional woman. Her wife, Sandy, is also a professional with legal training. And this is the kind of hurdle that
Yeah.
people who are trans are facing.
I have to say, I absolutely loved watching the relationship between Sophie and her wife Sandy. I mean, she's so important in their relationship and the whole film, isn't she?
This is what's really interesting about the trans lives is that the support of partners, parents is absolutely crucial for people to be themselves. And I think this film demonstrates the importance of that relationship.
Definitely, it's a beautiful relationship to see. But the next clip also really resonates with me. Social media trolling. I mean, as you know, I get it all the time. We'll get it with this video. I know we will. We'll get it with all of them. But since Sophie came out publicly, she's ended up getting a lot of trolling. So let's have a look at this one.
I saw this hideous thread just full of just disgusting comments about me being a paedophile, a danger to girls and women, and a fantasist and a sexual pervert and all these kinds of things. Sandy came into my office and I immediately shut my screen down and sort of turned to her and sort of to see what she wanted. She's pregnant. She doesn't need this kind of stress in a pregnancy. And I suddenly heard her burst into tears from the kitchen. I ran through and she had her phone in hand. I said to her, "Don't look at it. I told you not to look at it."
Oh, that one really got to me. Again, it's just those comments, they were vile, weren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, actually, this is again a world I didn't know anything about. I believe.
I wish I didn't.
I believe trans people get it all the time. Sophie's public persona was simply because she is an amateur dancer, and she's a very good one. And she had had various opportunities to go on stage and to dance. And that was actually the reason why we started filming with Sophie, because we were fascinated at the idea that a trans woman could actually dance female roles. And that was the original intention, is to make a film about a trans female dancer. But as we got to know Sophie and as the years moved on, this is what happened to her, and it was devastating.
Yeah, it's awful. And how's she coping with that trolling? Because I know, well, I get it a lot, and I've built up a very thick skin because I mean, there's not a day goes by that I don't get called a paedophile, a predator, a sex pest, a groomer, mentally ill, a freak, weirdo, all those names, and they're horrendous names that they should have a devastating effect on me. But because I get called them every day, it just goes over my head now. But when that doesn't happen to you every day, I wish it didn't happen to me every day, but it does. It must be really difficult for her.
As Sandy told us in the film and tells us in the film, it is one of the facts of the world at the moment that people hide behind the anonymity of social media. And that is what is enabling this very aggressive hate speech to come out. So I'm hoping that my film will take things far beyond the sort of bubbles that people are in and force people, ordinary people all over the country and maybe the world, to understand that trans lives are normal lives, but they're lived in an atmosphere of quite a lot of difficulty right now, which didn't used to be the case.
Absolutely. Now, the next one is the old chestnut toilets. Let's have a look at this one.
A lot of the anti-trans sentiment is centred around bathrooms, because it's a good way of preventing us from going around in public. If you can't go to the toilet, you can't really go more than a couple of hours from your house. So it always fills me with anxiety. When I come to use the toilet, I'm just going to wee, like anyone else. But there's so much hysteria wrapped up that I'm some sort of threat, that unfortunately, obviously that's designed to make people who wouldn't normally be afraid of trans people be afraid and react. So there's a lot of fear and anxiety, even though this is an empty building. Anyone could walk in now.
Okay, there we go. Toilets. I mean, yeah, as Sophie said, she just wants a wee in safety. That's all it is. It's as simple as that, isn't it, Alison?
Well, it's become a very fraught debate, as we know. There is so much misinformation about trans women using female toilets. And there's been a story that's been built up, I think, quite deliberately, to imply that trans women are a threat to other women. I'm afraid this is actually taken off, and some people feel that they're in danger around trans women, whereas the truth of the matter is it's trans women who are in danger. I think one of the statistics we bring in the film is about the number of trans hate crimes against trans people.
Yeah.
And it's in the thousands.
It's frightening. It's frightening. It really is. Yeah.
So there's a lot of misinformation that we hope to correct in the film.
This leads us on to the final clip I want to show, and this is of Sophie's mum showing her worries for Sophie.
It's very scary as a parent, because she's very vulnerable to other people's perception and what will happen when she's in the public, especially with all the animosity there is now. She's shockingly vulnerable. You know, if Sophie goes out, I mean, or with the baby, and people are aggressive if she wants to go into the toilet and change the baby's nappy. I mean, how can you live like this?
And that clip really does sum it all up, doesn't it? I mean, she's really worried about Sophie, isn't she?
The film has become something which could be, I think, a powerful tool for the trans community to be able to increase understanding in the wider population about what trans people are going through.
I find that when I'm talking to friends, often they don't realise how bad things have got. They think, oh, things are all right now. You know, trans people are accepted, and in general life, most people, I am accepted. I love my life. It's great, but we are being legislated out of existence, and it's tough to see that happen.
Well, I think the important thing for me is, well, the reason why I'm so keen to raise the money we need to complete the film, and that means completing the post-production, is that this is potentially something that could perhaps change the conversation a little bit.
Definitely.
We do not hear from trans people very much in the media, and that, I believe, is because so often on the news, if a journalist rings up a trans person and says, we'd like you to come on, what they really want is a bit of a binary fight between someone who is very against trans rights versus a trans person, and the trans person is put on the defensive from the word go. This film comes at it from a completely different angle, which is, let's just look what it's like from a human point of view to live as a trans person in this society. And I think that's the voice that we never hear, because there's never an outlet that's offered to do that.
Absolutely.
So this is why, for me, a film in the cinema, which people can go to who have just seen and thought, well, this is interesting, maybe I'll learn something. This could be a game changer. If we can get the film out in cinemas, we can get publicity around the film. We can get journalists to write articles about it.
Yeah, and
this is what I'd like to see.
Definitely. And when I watched the rough cut of it, I mean, I was just blown away by it. I mean, I loved watching Will and Harper, and that was a fantastic film. But this one just knocks spots off it. It's so much more powerful. It is outstanding. You've done an absolutely brilliant job with it. And I can't wait to see the finished article, but it's absolutely outstanding. So in terms of, so you've got this crowdfunder going. So how much money do you need to raise now to get it finished and into the cinemas?
Well, quite a lot. I think today we're speaking on a day where we need another 18,000.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money. I'm just holding up a flyer, but there's a link, I believe you're going to put in the...
I will, I'll put the link up. Yeah.
Of this interview. It is a lot of money, and that's because we have to clear the rights to some of the political footage. We have to clear the rights to music. If we have enough money, we'll hire a composer.
Yeah.
We have to pay for post-production, picture grading, sound mixing. We have to pay insurance. There are a lot of things that have to be paid for, and this is actually the first film I've ever made which hasn't been funded in advance. And so I do need people who've got spare cash to please chip in something to help us get to this target.
Yeah. So right. Well, so all people watching this, if you all chip in just a little bit, it will really, really help. We really need to get this on the screens. So thank you so much for joining me today, Alison, and thank you so much for making this brilliant film. And I urge everyone watching, please get on that crowdfunder site now.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie.